is Vibhu Srinivasan, and we are going to talk as part of the SolutionsIQ Agile Learning series in terms of on a topic which is favorite to most of the Agile teams, which is called estimation, and why estimation is one of the hardest techniques to learn for software teams. And I'll talk through some of the common issues that we see. So one of the, very often you will see Agile teams sitting around a table, trying to fool themselves, holding on some planning poker cards and showing some numbers in front of everybody. And every time they show the number at somebody, they know that they are fooling someone else. So then they try to play this game in terms of how accurate this is going to be, or how less it is going to be, or how more it is going to be, without really trying to get into the intent behind estimation. And they constantly try to do the what should not be done. So one of the goals of this session is to talk about why you should not compare. Estimation in Agile is not about time, and so let's look at one of the that seems to be the most common problem with teams today, is they try to relate estimation and try to relate it to the notion of time in minutes or in terms of hours. The second common problem that happens in teams is that they try to do estimation at an individual level. So they go and do estimates for a given person because they do in hours. So they will talk about developer hours or tester hours, and so that is the second common symptom. So let's try to spend a few minutes trying to understand why these are not good techniques, and see what else should we do. So the first thing is, when we try to estimate in the Agile world, we try to use what is called common sense. So we assume that we are humans and we cannot estimate correctly ever. And it's in fact proven mathematically that we will never be able to estimate this process correctly because software is not a well-defined process control system. It's an empirical process control system. And because of that, you cannot estimate an empirical process control system using techniques like time. Because often the only way you know if this is the right version of the product is when your customer really sees it. And so without him seeing it, how do you know how much time you need to put into the system so that it becomes a usable software system? So the difference therefore should be, instead of looking at time and how much it's going to take to estimate something, we start looking at something called relativity. And simply by looking at what is known as bigness of doing the work for a team. So it goes away from individual to a team for an Agile process to work. So now we estimate how much big this particular feature is as compared to this particular feature, and in terms of complexity of work to do given an ideal situation. And since we are comparing, it doesn't matter which one we pick from the backlog, as long as we pick the same story and hold it as a reference. Simply we are just comparing each time. So it's really not anymore a time-based estimate, it's a comparative estimate of how big or how small a feature is as compared to the reference feature that you're holding on to. So that is the change in estimation techniques, is we now do not estimate in time and we go estimate based on comparison of what I call the bigness of work, how big it is to do this work as compared to some other work for a team instead of a given individual. So that's all you need to know about estimation, and you also need to understand that it is not important to estimate correctly, but it is important to build the right software without bugs. So the less time you pretend that you are estimating correctly and more time you spend on writing quality software, the better product that you will have.